Hey, shout my boy Neural Knowledge for the video idea.
Alright, cool. Bam. This video, self-doubt. This is about self-doubt and how it blocks manifestation essentially for someone. Or it doesn't necessarily, but they perceive it like it does. Okay, so this is how it works. Self-doubt is like, the best way to explain it, self-doubt is the old version of you trying to keep you there. So self-doubt is like when you know you should do something, you have that voice in your head, or whatever synchronicities you have, you choose to have in your subconscious. You see, and when you see it, you don't act on it, even though you know you should, and you doubt yourself and don't act on it for whatever reason. I don't know whatever reason that is. That's to do with you. But that right there, that self-doubt essentially blocks your frequency, because having self-doubt, that means internally you doubt yourself about something. So as within, as without. So however you feel internally will reflect externally. I'm gonna say it one more time. Everything you see, everything you feel internally, you see externally. Perception is projection. So however you perceive things, whatever it may be, relationship, yourself, anything to do with you, anything to do with a person, anything to do with whatever, however you perceive it, you then see more things of that. Not because you want to see it, but because that's where your attention is. Attention is alignment. So where you put your attention, that is you focusing your frequency. Attention is focusing the frequency. That's where you're putting yourself. That's where you're putting all your focus. So yeah, back to what I was saying. So perception is projection. So therefore, all you have to do is change your perception on whatever it may be. Whether it's yourself, you can change your self-concept, your beliefs, your identity essentially. Not like literally, not like literally you go into another body, but imagine for example, you know the best version of you is, let's say, for someone, it could be the best version of them is in the gym every day. Let's say they go gym 3 times a week. They know the best version of them is going gym every day. That version of them always exists. It's always there. It exists. They just have to be on that frequency, on that awareness internally to be on that frequency, if that makes sense to you. Because I'm just starting videos. My wording is whatever. These videos is just, they just come to my head and I just film them. So anyway, back to the topic, self-doubt. How to get rid of self-doubt, essentially. You have to internally be disciplined. You have to internally feel full. You have to internally be satisfied. You have to internally be relaxed. All these things you have to be internally, and you have to essentially think of like convincing your brain every time. Have like a word or something that you know, or catchphrase, whatever, that you know every time you say it, it makes you think, yeah, I'm back to doing good. Just have something like that essentially, and once you start to feel internally loved, internally peaceful, internally beautiful, internally all these things, you will then see it externally. You'll start to feel more emotions that you didn't feel before. You'll start to notice things you didn't see before. You'll start to speak to people you didn't speak to before. You'll start to travel places you didn't travel before. Because essentially this is like a new version of you. Every time, everyone's on a frequency. So there's one world, but 8 billion people have 8 billion different projections, perceptions of reality, if that makes sense. So, if that makes sense to you, so everyone lives in their own world, essentially. So once you realize that, you start to feel these things that you're fulfilled internally. You start to feel abundant internally. You start to feel secure internally. It could be, I don't know, you could know you're meant to do something and not do it because there's a little bit of doubt. That means essentially, or well, it doesn't mean, but you could essentially have work, or let's say work or job or career, you could have it emotionally associated with stress. So maybe when, let's say, you are working, because that's the emotional association you have and that's what you've seen, you have a perception that work could involve stress. So that's why when you're at work, it involves stress for someone. That's it. So all you have to do is just change your perception, change your emotional associations with the word, change your self-identity, change your self-concept. Have different beliefs about yourself, let's say, that you might not have had before. Do different things. Become basically a new you, but you do it through just changing frequency. It's very easy. Changing frequency is not, it's not as complicated as people make it seem. Frequency is just awareness, and frequency is just awareness. It's no complicated stuff. It's just that simple. It's awareness. So when people say they're on a higher frequency, they're just on a higher frequency. They're just on a higher awareness. But to be on a higher, to have people that are rich internally. They're good with or without it. As within, as without. They're good with or without it. That's why even if they lost it, they can make it all back. It's because internally they feel good. Internally, yeah. You get the point, essentially, what I'm trying to say. So, you have to start changing your self-concept and start feeling good internally. Transcend time and know internally that you are your desired reality, and reality has to catch up with you, and do not be emotionally dependent on seeing your reality change. Don't be emotionally dependent on seeing your reality change. Shift internally, but don't be emotionally dependent on seeing your reality change. Don't be. And it's that simple. So you could associate relaxation with, let's say, money. You could be like, the more relaxed I feel, the more rich I feel internally, let's say. And that might not work, but it could work if, let's say, you make that personal affirmation for you. So if you say to yourself that affirmation works, then because you have now accepted that and the subconscious mind has accepted it as true, it is then now for an affirmation that works. Just because you accept it. If you don't accept it, then it don't work. It's just whatever you perceive. It's that simple. So yeah, this is self-doubt, and yeah, right now I've got a book, this is my notes, gonna have a whiteboard soon. Yeah, shout out my boy Neural Knowledge for the video ideas. And yeah, I'm no guru, I also have been interested in manifestation for a long time, and I feel like I finally found my version. So this is just my version of it, trying to explain it the best way I perceive it. So yeah.